on a special call meeting if we have to. I mean, we have to have it done before July 1. Yeah, I mean, we need some time to review this. I know that we've been backed up with the fee accountants and all of that stuff, but why don't we look at that? Why don't we hear that in the executive session if the board is okay with that? And then we'll decide from there.
If that's going to be the case, then Ms. Newman and Ms. Patterson, I'd go ahead and invite them to be excused. I think there's no need for them to sit through a general board meeting.
All right. Okay. All right, let's go to item C.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes from the June meetings, the work session, and the executive session, both held on June 11th, 2025, as presented.
Second.
We have a first and a second to approve the minutes from June in the regular meeting and the work session. I'm sorry, the work session and executive session. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Let's move to new business. And item A, Commissioner Hayes, Residential
everyone.
Council.
The last event that we have for this month is going to be on the 26th over at the Jobs Plus building at 5:30. We're going to have our scheduled board meeting, and then afterwards we'll be doing vision boards. We partnered with HER. It's a nonprofit for parenting. They give out free clothes and kind of point you in the right direction for different resources. That's it.
What's the date again? 26th?
Yes.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Hayes, Commissioner Hayes? Any questions around anything that has to do with residential services? All right, we move to B, under new business. Ms. Smith.
Good evening.
Hey.
Our write-offs for this month totals out to be $21,434.33. If you look at the worksheet that we have, that amount is a little higher because we did not have a board meeting last month. So this month we combined May and June together.
Because of the holiday.
Yes. So the percentage was for the 2 months, but if you divide it into 2 months, it's a little bit lower. AMP1 had 19%, AMP2 had 2%, and AMP3 had 17%.
This is going to sound like a silly question. What is AMP4?
AMP4 is our locally owned unit.
Wasn't that silly of a question.
That balance, that tenant was under a repayment, and she just bailed out and left.
So that's all one
That's
tenant.
just one.
And we typically don't have write-offs for the locally owned.
We do.
Not
Sometimes.
as frequently. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the pre-generation write-offs as presented for the months May and June.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to approve the write-offs as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, we'll move on to item C, presentation by Safe Harbor Family Preservation. Ms. Black and Ms. Lucas, is that correct? Yes. We took away our stand. You can just move those chairs out. Or you all can sit right there if you feel comfortable. That's
So
fine.
I'm Leslie Hartman. I'm the Executive Director of Safe Harbor. And I just want to thank you for your support. This past year, in the past couple of years, we've come before you in the month of June to present our results and present what your funds paid for. So I'm thrilled to have with me today Allison Black and Courtney Lucas, and they run the Family Preservation Program at the Brunswick Housing Authority. So I'll turn it over to Allison.
So again, thank you so much for allowing us to serve the housing residents for the past 2 years. I'm really proud to say that this past year we have seen that we've served more residents compared to our first year, and we've also provided more services to residents. Our core services that we really wanted them to hone in on were our parent education services, our life skills, and our therapy services, all which took place either in their homes, at our Safe Harbor site, and also here on the housing site. The benefits for having this program here at housing is that the residents do not have to have a referral to participate in the services. So at any time they're able to come or call us and say, hey, you know, I would like to receive parent education, or I'd like to receive some advocacy, or just need somebody to talk to. They're able to come and request those services. In addition, the housing staff are able to also refer, even though it's, like I said, it's not required, but if they come across a resident that has a need, they're able to send them over to us and we'll work with them. Everyone who comes to the program receives a free family assessment, so we assess needs, and they also receive free parenting assessments. So everybody that comes in has those services for free. And what's good about that is we have residents that come and they participate, and then sometimes they stop for various reasons, but then they come back. So when we have those needs assessment and those parenting assessments, we're able to pick up right where we left off. In addition to those services, we were able to give them access to more stuff other than services that we said we would provide an MOU. So for example, we were able to give financial assistance, like paying for utility bill or help fixing someone's car. And then we also provide transportation. So transportation is not limited just to the Brunswick housing site and our Safe Harbor facility, but if they need transportation to the grocery store or to a medical appointment, we've been able to do that for them. And then also our community support provides Christmas donations, so we've also been able to provide Christmas to the participants who've been involved in the program consistently. And then again, therapy services, those are paid for by our Division of Family Children Services, so the residents who have those open cases also have access to that. And then to top it all off, if they come to the group sessions with Ms. Lucas on Tuesdays, and then they have their individual sessions with us, they get community service hours upon request. What we really would like to hope to do is to continue those group sessions so that we have a presence here, like if anybody needs services, they can just walk in and have access to that. And also continue with trying to have more community events, because we want, if people want to connect with other residents, we'll have that for them. And also hone in more on those individual services, because we've seen this past year that was more appealing to the residents. So we definitely want to advertise for that. So I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Courtney Lucas, who will talk more about the impact and her experience with the residents.
Yes, thank you all for having us here tonight. It has truly been an honor working with the residents. I look forward to coming every Tuesday, and also with the one-on-one sessions in their home and those who can make it to our office. The group, I see the most impact being surrounded with a community of support, like being able to connect the different residents together along the path of parenting, which is not easy and can be complicated. And when they're in that space of struggling, being able to have another resident who has maybe had a child at a different stage that they're going through right now, being able to pour into them. Of course, we have the parent education that is evidence-based and trauma-informed. So that works in itself when I'm doing the lessons. But to see the cohesiveness and the support being built within the community with the residents has been one of the things that I really, really look forward to in the group setting. And also being able to, the thing about the curriculum that I love is the ability to, while you're also assessing your parenting beliefs and attitude and your skills, you're also assessing your past. It has the needs assessment assesses their trauma that they may have, if they've had any, that they may have experienced in their own childhood and how it may be showing up in the trajectory of their children's path, how that may be showing up in their practices now. So a safe space for them to be able to open up and sharing that. It can be very emotional and challenging but rewarding at the same time, and I'm just honored to be the person to be able to like lead and guide them through that. The one-on-ones get a little bit more in detail, of course, because the life skills part, people are even more open to sharing like their personal experiences and what they're going through. And being able to help them set those goals. The one-on-ones, you're able to walk with them and like help like keep them, hold them accountable to where they said they want to be at what time period. Is also identifying the challenges and barriers and the resources that we may have to be able to connect them to, or that we already have in-house within the Safe Harbor program to help overcome those barriers and challenges. So we have had a lot more appeal with the one-on-one because it gets really in the details of where they are on their journey. So thank you.
Thank you. What questions do you have? So our MOU expires June 30th, and we'd love to continue to serve the residents of Brunswick Housing Authority. But what questions do you have about this program?
Can I add one more thing? The correlation with Jobs Plus has also been amazing. Like that has been all the different resources that are brought in, and us being in that space along with them, being able to, they kind of feed in clients to us, and then also we're able to refer like what we uncover for the family with Jobs Plus, and that's been a really good working relationship. I would be remiss if I didn't highlight that.
Commissioners?
My only question is today is June 23rd, and their MOU expires on June 30th. Why are we just seeing this today? Why they haven't been able to come before us beforehand, so that we can have enough time to ensure the services continue if we all decided as a commission? That's my only question.
Well, I think that we had a question about all of the social services this year, and there was a process I think that was implemented, but it didn't move as quickly as it should have to update it, even around the funding. I think there was supposed to be some alternative sources of funding for all of these services. And Mr. Paisley, correct me if I'm wrong, that just started happening, and that's why I think we ended up getting to this late. But that has nothing to do with Safe Harbor. I think it was our process that is related, and I think that's to your question, I believe. Anything you want to add, Mr. Paisley?
No, we started looking for a grant writer to help subsidize all of our programs for residents and tenants. since as early as February. We've gone through the process. There were several on the table. None of them worked out. I think they met with a group or a entity last week. It appears that's going to be the individual that is going to be able to provide not just services, but actually grants. And so that's something we're moving forward on. But when, again, going back to the budget and looking ahead to ensuring that all the services are not coming out of Georgia HAP, but are coming out of resident services, out of the public housing fund, we needed to ensure we were not overspending. We have gone a number of years pulling out of the Georgia HAP account for all of the various departments, and that's not what that account is for. And so if we're gonna, based on the number of units we have, based on our occupancy, based on what the capital fund is giving us annually for public housing, all services have to be tied to that to ensure we don't over expend what has been brought in. And so in order to, and it was never like that in the past. We've always had a grant writer to help provide grants to subsidize all the programs. It was just as of recently that the Housing Authority, out of its private funds, were funding all social programs 100%. And that just had to stop.
So I think we're in a transition period that pushed us to this point, and so we have to work through it. But we all know the value of this program beyond just the presentation today.
Well, my concern is not just this program, but I don't want our residents to suffer based on neglect of not providing this. And I need to see where we always had a grant writer. I need to see that. Because I don't remember proof of that. Since that's been brought up, I never seen that. Since I've been here, I've just seen the programs operate. And I know some programs was not operating correctly or rightly, but my point is I don't want to see the residents suffer if something is being provided for them now it's a possibility if this MOU is not renewed, here's a service that the residents can be missing out on. That's my concern as a commissioner.
I echo on those sentiments, and the good thing about it is we decide that.
That's why I'm bringing it up.
Right.
I wanted to be heard.
And not just this service, but others.
All the services, yeah.
Right.
The different services that has been rendered for years.
And this is probably a part of what we've been dealing with over the past year and a half. I know since I've been on, because there was a bunch of changes the year before that, so maybe 3 years ago. It disrupted things. Now I know I met a guy who said he was the grant writer for housing, the tall guy, and
yeah, that was a fluke, of course.
but anyway, he was on staff. So
yeah.
But anyway, any other questions for the panel?
I just thank you guys for coming here and saying that it's not referral based, because a lot of residents were told that it was just referral only. So I think that kind of stifles your participation, and I'll do the best that I can to spread the word if we keep the contract going. That is for everybody.
Okay.
Yes,
We'll
we appreciate that.
definitely make sure to try to make sure the flyers reach you too.
No
Because
doubt.
really, we'll make sure it gets to you.
Commissioner Hayes, is that something that they could attend one of y'all's events?
Definitely. If I knew it was for everybody, I would have already invited you guys to a resident council meeting. That way you can propose it, and we always have new faces that come in. It's not a big crowd, but from each crowd, if you get 2 or 3 people, it's better than nothing. At the end of the year, you're double your services.
Maybe Safe Harbor could even sponsor one of y'all's events.
That would be lovely.
How about that?
I would love it.
So there's, you'll have to forgive me. I don't see the amount that the MOU is for, and that's not necessarily as important as what you guys are asking for. Are you asking to keep it at the same level?
We
or-
originally were awarded 75,000 and then we were cut mid-year. So for this program, we were asking for the 75,000.
And we cut that funding marginally last year
In January.
in
yes.
January. We were worried about duplicative services, maybe,
Right.
or I can't really remember, but I do remember the cut. So you would like last year's MOU, same amount,
Exactly.
not to be cut this year,
That's right.
hopefully. Understood.
I wish we had a like a line item of where this money goes, because I seen where you had the surveys. You had 12 people to survey, and then maybe 19 for a different survey. And so I just wanted to know, like, how many of our residents are you actually servicing,
Sure,
and how
so
much
we
of
can do
that
that, yeah.
goes towards what they.
Yeah, so the funding pays for a full-time staff and a part-time staff that are 100% dedicated to Brunswick Housing Authority residents. So that's you're basically paying for Safe Harbor staff, basically, that person that's all they do is work with Brunswick Housing Authority residents. So that's what the funding goes for. But I can send you the budget.
So they're not on site here.
It is on site. Yes.
There's an office here.
So we've been working out of the Jobs Plus building, and then we also go into their units. And then we transport them back and forth. If they feel like it's more convenient to come to our office, they can come there too. But we're here on site every week.
So, and I'm happy to do that. And we can go back and show how many, we send an invoice every month with the residents that we worked with and who all receive the services.
You're able to see the breakdown.
It's
of
a
each
detailed
service.
breakdown each month, the number of residents that they work with, exactly what I can't see the private stuff. They have the therapy, any advocacy, transportation, all that is documented each month as a part of their invoice.
And the other services so we have grant funding for this program as well through the Division of Family and Children Services. So if any of the residents are eligible under that grant, then we don't charge the Brunswick Housing Authority for that. And some of the additional services they receive, that's from the other funding sources of Safe Harbors. So it is a match grant for the grant. The funding that the Brunswick Housing Authority gives us is a match for what we already received from the Division of Family and Children Services. If that makes sense.
You're basically saying you have the money to pay the staff, but when you get the money from here, it's
We don't have the money to pay the full and half-time, part-time staff. No, but we already have funding for other staff that are in the same program. If that makes, sorry, I could break this down on the
You're just paying
budget.
for the staff that's working out.
Right.
and how many staff is that?
One full-time and one part-time.
And that is the whole 75, or
Yes.
that's
Is 100% of the dollars we use, does that go towards staffing, or
Yes.
no, like the flyers and everything like that?
So-
No program cost, just the staffing cost?
So we have used some of the housing. So some of the housing funds have been used to, like, if we have to buy the supplies for the events. So we make sure them funds go either to staffing or directly to the residents. And we do the pretty much the community events, like if we buy food, and like when we did the vision board in February, buying all those supplies for them. So that's free of cost to them.
so that's coming out of the 2 staff members' check when you spend money out of the 75.
Not out of the
To-
staff. Not out of the staff check, because there was money allocated for that, like a small percentage for that.
Within the 75.
Yes, ma'am. But it's mostly staff salary and the full-time and the part-time to provide those services.
I just want to see the line items when you get a chance.
Yes.
questions?
Well, if there are no other questions, thank you all.
Thank you.
Do we need to take any action on that?
When we discuss the budget, I think we need to make sure it's in there.
I move that we table the safe harbor discussion until the approval of the 2025-26 budget.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand.
So the second program that you fund for Safe Harbor. So years ago, there was a MOU between the Brunswick Housing Authority and the Division of Family and Children's Services. So children that are exiting foster care and find themselves homeless are eligible through the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for fostering youth independence vouchers. So the Brunswick Housing Authority is eligible for these vouchers, but there was not anybody doing the case management. So youth over the age of 18 were eligible, but they had to be case managed, right? If they're living in one of your units, you wouldn't necessarily want them not being checked on, right? And they're eligible for 36 months. So you would want them to be checked on and looked at and just making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do for 36 months. So Jeff's program, Street Outreach, comes in and does the case management for the youth. So that enables the Brunswick Housing Authority to receive more vouchers. They're actually eligible up to 25 vouchers a year.
So thank you guys for allowing us to come talk. Glad to have my part. This has been an ongoing 2 years. It's been exciting to be a partner with you guys. And we started off with just the foster youth independence vouchers, trying to help them manage to make sure that we provide case management as a collective, along with public housing, so these foster youth would have a place of their own. I will tell you, we've been successful within the first year or two. Right now, there are 6 current residents that we have placements for. We do have a few more residents that we were going to send, but what we decided to do is not overwhelm, because that is a process that happens. My caseworker actually works closely, I think, with Ms. Douglas and her group as well, to make sure that process goes in place. So there's constant conversations between the Department of Family and Children's Services from Atlanta, you guys, and us that's consistent with making sure these youth have what they need. So you'll see that we're managing to continue to work with kids. We're constantly getting kids off the streets. We're working with kids that are coming out of foster care to manage to make sure at some point they have some kind of housing opportunity with you guys. We're managing the case management around it. And so the big part is we got to do it for 36 months, which is a good bit and a good while, that's what we do. So ideally, that was our mission with you guys, is to make sure that we're focusing on getting these youth into some kind of housing opportunity. But I think the program and the Street Outreach program and public housing has grown a little bit in what we're trying to expand on. Our program has looked at what we could do more to help with what you guys have going on here at public housing. We wanted to make sure that we target specifically your youth, not just the ones that are in our foster youth independence vouchers, but the ones that need more assistance, even with our drop-in program, and then even now with our summer enrichment program. So I will tell you, just during the year, we started looking at targeting more specific public housing kids that need more help, taking more referrals for kids who needed specifically help because they were having more interruptions, things like that. So that became a big part of our target. But I do want you to understand, the program is geared strictly for individual homeless. So when we looked at it, we felt that because of the partnership, there was more that we could do as a program, as an agency, to help make sure that these kids were getting things they needed to be more successful. So we had at least 5 kids in our drop-in center through the year. In our drop-in centers, they're getting tutoring, they're getting therapy, they're getting educational opportunities that come along with it. They get opportunities to meet mentors outside of that. They get a collective opportunity to meet each other and to navigate socially within our group and within our organization. We pick them up. They get hot meals every time they come to the drop-in. We actually give them snack packs and food to go along for the weekend if they don't have any food. We talk to the parents. We meet with the parents. We help with job search with the parents. And if there's an issue with the house, we help with that as well by referring out to other agencies that provide services. If the parent is in need, even with jobs, things like that, our program begins to help. Our program begins to help with housing. If there's an opportunity, because we do the referrals for housing, and if there is a need, we actually try to provide some assistance. So that has become some of our missions. If you will look in our FYI vouchers, right now we have 6 youth that are in your program. We have 8 total that is being served. We have 2 right now that we're going to submit in the next 30 days. We just wanted to give it a chance to level off. We didn't want to throw 25 kids into your vouchers, but we do get kids consistently. We have 1 kid that's going to be on the waiting list. I think now is waiting, and if I'm not mistaken, there may have been an email today about between Ms. Nancy and them about the 1 kid. They've done 193 visits, case management outcomes. So what they do is they go into the home, they call the kids into the office, they have meetings with the kids, they make sure they do life skills, they make sure things are going good with them. If they have to teach them how to wash clothes, they do that as well. If they need to teach them how to cook, they do that as well. So they're doing one-on-one with these youth. We've had good success this year. I will tell you, we've partnered in multiple opportunities in our health fairs. In our fairs, I think one of the things we did was we actually worked together on your fair at your new property, and that was good. And then we did an SRE fair with public housing that we did in McIntyre Court, and that went well. And I was glad to see that one. That had a big turnout. We want to provide more of programmatic opportunities to your members, to your people in your programs. We want to make sure that they're getting everything that we offer. Transportation for the youth. We've implemented our sexual risk avoidance education program that we get from the Department of Family and Children's Services. We've now started targeting kids within your area. Idea for next year, we'll be doing 45 kids. The kids, once they finish this project and this program, it's a 4-hour program that they go through, 45 hours. At the end of it, they get a $75 gift card. That is at no cost to you guys. That is at the cost of what we get from the program itself from DFACS out of Atlanta. We provide that to them, and we want to provide that savings to you guys, but also give the kids the opportunity to learn more about what not to do. And you'll see that some of the programs that we have, in our summer enrichment program right now, we have 6 kids in our summer enrichment program, 5 to 6 kids in that right now. We're growing that program each and every year. The kids there now are learning about the world. They have trips planned. We pick them up. They go to camp 3 days a week. They're getting their educational opportunities. We have teachers there that are providing education for them. They're also going on trips. They're taking trips to Savannah. They're going to museums. They're learning about everything they need to know about around the world. And so ideally, those are the things that we want to make sure that you guys are getting, that we can bring forward as a partner from Safe Harbor. And I will tell you, it's been good to see some of the turnout that we've had in our street outreach program, not just in what we've done in the community fair, but just to see how many people are calling us now for services, how many mothers that I've reached out to that has called me just to see if their kid can participate in our programs. So we look forward to the growth in 2026. We look forward to serving more of your youth, serving more of your families, and just providing more wraparound services for you guys. And that's what we do. We provide wraparound services to the community and for you guys.
Right. Questions, commissioners?
How much are we giving y'all?
It's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same.
It was 75,000, and then in January it was cut.
Okay.
How many youth could you all serve?
How many would I like to serve?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to serve 150. The reality is, as we build the program, we want to make sure that we have enough staff.
Yeah,
So right now,
I'm gonna say based on the
we're looking
staff.
at 20 to 25, with at least half the kids as we grow in public housing.
And right now you're at how many?
Right now, I'm at 14, and
Yeah.
and 6 of them are public housing. Right. But I have 2 more applicants that are coming in that are public housing as well, and they're brothers and sisters.
And they're,
They don't have anything to do. They live in the village.
what's the hold up on that? Vouchers?
No, not. You're talking about the vouchers. Right now, I have 6 kids that are in public housing.
Okay.
The voucher program. FYI. Foster Youth Independence Voucher.
And one that is waiting for a voucher?
Yes, one today that is submitted today that's waiting for a voucher. And that process takes a minute.
So
it's-
they just submitted. It's not hung up.
Right.
Okay.
No. We've had a great relationship, Ms. Douglas, where they communicate. I'm a part of those emails and like, oh my God, they're still talking. So they have a great relationship where they're conversating all the time. They're ironing out the differences. They're making sure. And so the kids generally get it within a short time period. But they still have to meet the requirements of public housing. So we have to make sure everything is legit.
So, I'm trying to think of how to say this without sounding like a jerk. So I'm just going to say it. $75,000 to help 14 kids is a lot of money. $75,000 to help 25 kids is still a lot of money, but it seems a lot more reasonable. How do we get those next 11 kids on there quickly and make sure that this thing's a winning program for us?
Oh, they're already cute. I mean, it's already a given.
So this time next year, you're gonna have 25 for me.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right.
Now, do you want 25 vouchers used? Because that's a. So the idea is also in our street outreach program, some of the funding we used was to pay for rental assistance. So we paid for deposits. We utilized some of the funding to make sure there were deposits and utilities that were paid for as well. So that if there ever came a situation where they needed additional funds, that there was not be an eviction based on that. So the youth still have the ability, if they're not, and what we do is job coaching with them as well. We're working with Sea Island to create job opportunities for them. But if they have a situation where the utilities cannot be paid for, then they have the ability, based on the case manager, to have that as long as they're doing the work they're doing. But we paid about 4 or 5 deposits just to make sure the kids go, because these are vouchers and they don't go into public housing, they go into Section 8 vouchers. So generally those vouchers have to have a deposit. And so we've been able to go closer with landlords to make sure the kids have an opportunity to pay that.
So if you got to 25 kids that you're helping, based on your numbers now, we would think that would be about 9 or 10 voucher holders. Is that right?
So if I got 20, so if we want to fill your vouchers with 25 kids.
No, I'm saying that you said you wanted to be working with 25 kids.
Yeah, that's the plan.
And of that, we would expect 8 or 10 to be voucher holders. Is that?
Well, I want at least 12 of your kids to be, 12 to 15 of your kids to be voucher holders this year. And then I want to use, prayerfully I want to use all of the vouchers within the following year. That is a tedious process to get the kids done. Like it takes at least 30 days or more to get the kids through the process. And then from that, we're not just providing rental assistance, but we're also trying to do furniture. So we're bringing in individuals in our donation center to do furniture as well. So that's at no cost. That's a safe harbor thing where we're going online, or we have our donors that are providing furniture as well. So that is what we're doing to make sure that the units are complete. And we're not talking about 2-bed, we're talking about houses. So these kids are getting Section 8 vouchers. So.
This one might be a tough question, and it might be a more complicated answer than y'all want to give right now. But if you're paying deposits on behalf of these kids, what happens to those funds when the deposits are returned? Do they go straight back into this program, or do they go into the Safe Harbor's general funds? Or we don't know because we haven't had
Well,
one.
we haven't had
We
one.
haven't
Yeah,
had a return.
Yeah.
We haven't had a return.
I would imagine some of those deposits can be returned, and at some point y'all will receive those monies back, or do they go to the kids?
Well, we're trying to work it out even better with the state to see there's a process with the state to see if they can pay for deposits as well. So we're trying to work it out in between. It all depends on how quick the process happens with the youth. Of course, the state takes forever to get processed, and you have a landlord who has a unit right then we have to immediately address it at that moment. So it's a little more tedious and it takes a lot of work. There is a lot of, when I say it's a lot of communication between them, there is a ton of communication going back and forth between the Department of Family and Children Services, our agency, and your agency, to make sure that everything lines up. Even for furniture, things like that, this has to be insured for that participant. So it is tedious. And when you see 193 case management hours, that is that's just not visits, that's phone calls, visits, and coming in, us providing transportation for them to come in if they can't be transported.
Yeah, I guess, and that was gonna be my sort of question for you to say what you just said. That this 75,000 is not where you got, student. While some of these kids may be honor roll students, I'm just saying. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. But these are young people that need coaching. They need a lot of stuff, and it takes a lot of time to do that. And so,
Absolutely.
And since, and I know I've actually been one of these counselors that's worked with them. And sometimes it may take you a month just to get them to understand about the value of going to school. Or you may have to, unpeel some stuff like an onion because they were, molested or something.
And 100% of our kids are at-risk kids. And so when we say at-risk, generally, if you gave them the opportunity, they wouldn't even go to school, right? They would probably, at 13 years old, either be kicked out of school because they're not following the instructions, or they would choose not to go. So the program itself, in the mentoring and what we provide to them, is an opportunity to do and go a little further, create some kind of generational wealth opportunity, looking for things that they normally wouldn't be exposed to, but at the same time create a culture and a socialization within their own community so that they'll understand that they don't have to stay within that community. They can do better.
And I guess my experience with this, I understand when I worked on the crisis unit at Gateway. I mean, we would have 3 staff per shift, and if we had 5 kids, that would be a lot, because if one acts out, it may, start something where everybody's acting out. You got to try to protect them and yourself from them. So,
and the kids are getting therapeutic services, so that is at no cost. So our therapy is still provided on site. So the kids come over and they meet with the therapist, and so they get that service too. That is another thing.
So the need, and I know we're going to be looking at making sure that our families get what they need. But it takes more than $75,000 to do this, because it takes a lot of staff time just to get them to one point. Anyway, I'll be quiet. Any other questions? Commissioner Cullen, you had some pretty good ones.
try.
You got one more?
So there is a mutual benefit to us case managing so intensively so that the child can stay housed and keep their voucher. And there's a housing where we keep the voucher. For whatever this means, with all the federal cuts coming, this one program, believe it or not, Melania Trump is taking on the fostering youth incentive program.
Okay.
You don't see the numbers. You don't see the numbers here of kids coming out of foster care, coming out of residential programs, but it's a large number. It's a large. Kids that have been in treatment-based programs, mental health-based programs, is a large number. We just don't really see them because kids become very resistant, but they become very smart in how to do things. But when they get to that point where nothing else matters and there's no programs, Job Corps, there's no programs to go to, then they won't have anywhere to go. They're either going to make something happen, or we're going to see what the end results of not having programs in place look like. You know, because a kid who's struggling and has nowhere to go is going to figure out how to get it. And so, at least there's an opportunity. And I say that because I'm the recipient of that, is what I say. Right? There were programs in place. And so I was able to make a choice. I didn't have to. But if we don't have programs for them, they're going to make a choice. That's their difference.
Well, we see it with the gangs. I mean, my briefing is we have 1,000 gang members. You know, yes, we don't see it like, you know, we've seen it on TV, but we've heard about it with a number of shootings and things. Stop these programs, and everybody will feel it. Anyway, I'm getting on my soapbox.
Any other questions? Thank you again.
No, I appreciate the questions for sure. Thank you guys.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we table the Safe Harbor Street Outreach Program discussion until the discussion of the agenda, or the budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
A first and a second to table street outreach to the budget discussion. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. We're down to item D, election of officers.
Mr. Chairman, I move that Commissioner Booker remain chairman, and I move that Commissioner Dickerson remain vice chair.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I was gonna motion it to be the other way around.
Well, let's discuss that. I was just trying to be easy.
I would second that Commissioner Dickerson becomes chair, and I'll gladly be his vice chair.
Commissioner Dickerson.
I'm very surprised.
Is that a yes?
I will accept.
I think you've been here the longest.
Yeah. So there's a first and a second to elect Commissioner Dickerson as the new chair, and Commissioner Booker to become the vice chair.
And I withdraw my previous motion.
Okay. All right. Ben, all right. Slipping there. So do we have to withdraw? He has to withdraw that motion?
He's withdrawn his motion.
All right.
We have Commissioner Hayes made a motion that you seconded.
Okay.
So just
All
need
right.
to vote on Commissioner Hayes' motion.
All right. All in favor, raise your right hand. Ms. Curry, I hope you got that.
I wasn't supposed to vote with it.
You can.
I'll vote.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
All right.
I'm definitely surprised. Trust me. I didn't know we was gonna be doing all this today.
Yeah, all right, so I guess I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Before you go into the
Okay.
executive session, excuse me, I'd like to introduce our two interns.
Okay.
Mr. Andrews from Clark Atlanta, that's been with us now for over 2 weeks, as well as Mr. Bass, who has joined us end of last week. And I haven't had a chance to work directly with them, but I wanted to introduce them to the board and just advise that we have several asset management projects that are going to keep them busy throughout the summer into July.
All right. Yeah, I'm familiar with Mr. Andrews. He's a brilliant young man, so I'm glad that we were able to get him, and look forward to hearing great things from both of you as we move forward. All right, I'll entertain a motion. Go in executive session.
Move that we enter executive session to discuss real estate, personnel, and litigation.
Second.
Did that cover everything? What you say? Real estate
Personnel, litigation.
and financials?
I did this on my screen.
The budget? Can't do it?
Not.
I got you.
We do need to discuss some personnel around financial stuff.
In Excel.
All right.
I need a restroom break.
To total.
Can we vote on that?
All in favor?
Aye.
And so
I gotta keep this slipping.
All right.